Let's shift focus. Following President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address, South Africans turned to the internet seeking more information about the crucial May elections. Google says election-related searches increased after Sona. To discuss the top questions people asked, Mich Atagana from Google South Africa joins me now in studio. Thank you so much for talking to me. So, I mean, what are the top searches? What are people looking for? I believe you guys are saying that people are turning to Google as the oracle to find out who will be leading us come a few weeks after the 8th of May?
Gosh, I hope not the oracle. We don't predict the future. We give you answers that are exist and are out there.
Who's going to win the election?
Yeah, I think
they won't be oracles.
I feel I suppose people trust Google to give them accurate information. So they feel, well, why not ask Google what's happened in the future anyway? We saw some very interesting trends for elections specifically. So there's overall things people search for, but these are specific to the elections. And people, yes, indeed asked, who will win the South African elections? It's one of the top questions that was asked this past week. And also people want to know who made the decisions for South Africa prior to 1994. And the candidates as well are searched for. What I find quite fascinating is after Sona, Cyril Ramaphosa became the #1 search for candidate, where 2 weeks ago he wasn't, in terms of the candidates that were searched for. But also the EFF became the top search for political party, with ANC becoming second and the DA third. So it's always quite interesting based on what is happening around, what's happening in the news, that also informs what people are looking for because they want to get more information.
So it's quite interesting then. In terms of your the way your systems work, how do you even begin to answer a question that says, who will win the 2019 elections? What are the, I'm forgetting the word for, the algorithms that go into play in trying to give an answer, because Google has to give an answer.
Well, so the beauty of Google is Google trusts that the answers that people are looking for exist on the internet. So we don't create content. The content is there, we're a conduit. You come, you ask us questions, we tell you where on the internet the answer is. So what I imagine is when people search for who will win the elections, it will probably take them to a lot of prediction articles by various news organizations, interviews where analysts have said, based on trends from previous years or previous elections, this is what we think will happen in the national elections. So there's probably a lot of people have been reading a lot of trends articles based on this question.
Just out of interest, you're saying 2 weeks ago Cyril Ramaphosa wasn't the top search for the candidates in the upcoming election.
Yeah,
who was?
It was Julius Malema.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So it was Julius Malema, Cyril Ramaphosa, and Missy Maimane, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's encouraging then that the first top two top searched questions that relate to elections. #1 is, when is election day 2019? #2 is election day a holiday in South Africa? I suppose if I ask you to sort of put a narrative behind that, it says people are interested and we might see better participation.
Absolutely. People definitely want to go vote. They want to know when it is. Last week we saw a lot of questions around voter registration, where to vote, and checking if people are registered to vote. So there's a lot of interest from people wanting to make sure that they are able to make their voice count. In terms of the holiday question, I'm not sure if they're asking if it's a public holiday just so they know they have the day off. Yeah, but I hope that means they know they have the day off so they can go and vote.
I want to ask you something very interesting before I let you go. But I see other candidates whose names come up include Hlaudi Motsoeneng and Andile Mngxitama.
Yes.
That's a popular search.
These are popular, and I think 2 weeks ago, I think Claudia was also there. I can't remember for sure if Andile was there, but it's really popular. Even the Good Party made it in terms of the parties that people are searching for. So you find that the more popular the candidate as a public figure or public individual, we all know Claudia, and the fact that he started his own political party is of interest to people. They want to learn more about it. So I think people are turning to Google to be as informed as possible going forward into the election.
Okay, inform me then. Who is Google? Does that still come up in terms of the searches? And how's that going? How do you go about answering who is Google?
Google is a company of many people who work really, really hard to make sure that our search engine is providing information.
Did you tell Mzwake Mbuli that?
That who's Google? Mzwala and I didn't have a conversation about that.
All right, thank you so much for coming through, Mich Atagana from Google South Africa, talking to us about some of the interesting trends that are coming up in as far as what people are searching for in relation to the upcoming election.